Hare Krishna, Shastra Saraprada Prabhu, my pranams, and welcome to our continuation of our series on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's been some gap, and both of us have been a little bit busy. But we have to resume from where we left off. So previously, I think we are still on the first verse of our reading of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and we have completed 5 sessions. Today is our session number 6th. So I hope that you have understood whatever was done previously. Is there anything that you wish to ask from what was done previously, or can we move ahead from that point onwards?
We can move ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. So according to Shishta Parampara, according to the tradition said by the Acharyas, we will begin with Mangalacharan, and then we will see where we left off. From that point onwards, we can continue. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruh Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratpushaya Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we are continuing from the point that we left off previously. So yes. Now previously we have completed the explanation on Akhila Rasamrita Murti, this verse, but only the Krishna Paksh has been completed. And there were 2 Pakshas or 2 interpretations of Akhila Rasamrita Murti verse. One was the Krishna Paksha and other is which Paksha?
Chandra Paksha.
Chandra Paksha. So we have completed the detailed explanation of Krishna Paksha. Although previously I have, both of us, when we translated the verse, we have given both interpretations. We have done the translation of for both interpretations, Krishna Paksha as well as Chandra Paksha, and I think it was here when we did the Anvay. So Viduhu basically means Krishna, and Vidhu also means the moon.
The moon.
Akhila Rasamrita Murtihi, the moon. Let's take only the Krishna Chandra Paksha now, who is the nectarian personification of all 6 Bhojan rasas. Bhojan means there are rasa is also applicable in the field of bhojan, or things which are eaten. And Prasramara Ruchi Ruddha Taraka Pali. So who by its spreading effulgence has completely dominated all groups of constellations. Kalita Shyama Lalitaha. Who has Kalita accepted. Shyama Jiva Goswami will translate as Ratri, was accepted the night, and because of which Lalitaha, the moon appears beautiful. Radha Prayan. Radha here means Vishakha. The moon is very dear to the constellation named Vishakha. Jayati is always victorious. Okay, so the Alankar, the literary ornament, was Samasukti. Something hidden revealing itself in something which is clearly visible. So that is known as Samasukti. So we have completed the detailed Krishna Paksha explanation, and we've seen all of that. And I think the last continue marker was here. I don't think there was, yes, this is the last continue marker from where we have to move ahead. Now,
Yes, bro. I think, Prabhu, I think we might have gone over the commentary for Chandra Paksha.
Yes, we have also seen the Chandra Paksha, the meanings in Chandra Paksha, right? And let's just begin from this last sentence. Let's just, this is where we should ideally start from. So Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, he's saying, Evam Visheshe Samyam. Now, there is adjective and there is the term which is qualified by the adjective. So the adjective is known as Visheshan. What is it known as?
Visheshan.
Visheshan. And the term which is qualified by the adjective is known as Visheshya. For example, if I say blue lotus, so blue is the Visheshan adjective. And which is the term qualified by the adjective? Visheshya. Lotus. So, evam visheshye samyam darshayitva. Now, having shown similarity in the term which is qualified, which is the term qualified viduhu in the verse, which was the qualified term?
Viduhu.
Viduhu. And all others were adjectives which were qualifying it. So, evam visheshye samyam darshayitva. Now, having shown the similarity in the qualified term, Visheshanepi samyam darshayati. Now, the author Rupa Goswami will show similarity even in the qualifiers or even in the adjectives. I hope you are able to understand. And where do the adjectives begin? Akhila iti adibhi. The adjectives begin with Akhila, etc. Right? So now we have seen, short and sweet, now we have seen the similarity between similarity of Krishna and the moon, who are the terms qualified by the various adjectives. So we have seen similarity in the qualified term viduhu. Now we will see similarity in the qualifiers. All right. So this is from where we continue. So first and foremost, Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So what is the first term in the verse?
Akhila.
Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So how does it break down? So Sri Jiva Goswami says, Akhila Akhanda Rasaha Aswado Yatra. So Akhila means Akhanda. What does Akhanda mean? Unbroken. What does Akhanda mean?
Unbroken.
So Akhila means Akhanda, unbroken. Rasa. Rasa means Aswad. Aswad means taste. What does Aswad mean?
Taste.
I told you it is related to Bhojan Rasa. Bhojan. So uninterrupted is the Rasa. Rasa means the taste, the six tastes. Yatra, in that entity. In which entity?
In the moon.
Moon. Tadrisham Amritam. And that taste, it is itself, like nectar. So Akhila, unbroken, Rasa, taste, and that taste is like Amrita. Akhila, Rasa, Amrita. I hope you are able to understand. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So that those six tastes, that type of Amrita, that type of nectar, tad Atmika iva murtir. So his form, its very murti, its very form is the personification of such nectar. Whose form is the personification of such nectar?
The moon.
The moon's form is the personification. What does murti mean? Murti means mandala, spherical. I hope you are able to understand. What is the meaning of murti? Murti
It's
means
mandala.
the spherical object. So whose mandala, whose murti is the personification of Amrita, of nectar. That nectar, which type of nectar? The nectar of
Bhojan.
Aswada. Aswada and Bhojan. And that rasa is Akhila. Akhila means it is Akhanda, constant. There is no part of the year when such nectar is not flowing from the moon. At all times of the year, it is constantly flowing from the moon. Somebody may say,
Prabhu,
well, there are some days on which there is no moon, right? But even though the moon is not visible, the effects of the moon are still there. The moon may not be there, but still are there waves in the ocean?
yes, Prabhu.
Why?
Because the moon is pulling.
Yes. So even though the moon may not be visible, but its mandala, still continues to create akhanda rasa. See, just as Krishna sometimes may not be present in front of the gopis, but still Krishna continues to create waves of rasa. Similarly, sometimes the moon may disappear, but still the moon continues to give akhanda or bhojan rasa at all times of the year. So I hope this is understood.
Yes, Prabhu.
So Akhila Rasamrita Murti. So Akhila Akhanda Rasa. And Rasa means what? Aswad. Taste. Yatra is present in that entity. Tadrisham Amritam. That is Amrita. That is Piyusha, nectar. Tadatmika iva murtir mandalam yasya. And the personification of such nectar is his form. That's his spherical form. Now Jiva Goswami says Atra. Now here, note one thing. Shabdena Samyam. So there is Samya. There is similarity of Shabda. Their similarity has been achieved through words. Because Akhila Rasamrita Murtihi. The term remained similar. Did we have to change anything in the term for qualifying it for the moon? Or was the term exactly the same?
Sorry, Prabhu?
Did we change the adjective or did we keep the same adjective for the moon?
Same adjectives.
Same adjective. So, Shabdena Samyam. So we have achieved similarity of Shabd. Samyam means it is
Same.
similarity of the term. So it is not only similarity of terms. Jiva Goswami says, Shabdena Samyam Rasaniyatva Amshena Arthenapi Yojyam. Not only is there similarity of terms, but Rasaniyatva. What is Rasaniyatva? Rasaniyatva means the ability to, generate rasa. That meaning is also similar. I hope you are able to understand. There is not only similarity in the term, but there is also similarity in the rasaness of both entities. So there is also some similarity in meanings. Therefore, he says amshena. There is not complete similarity. The similarity in meaning is complete, or similarity in meaning is partial.
It's partial.
Partial, but it is only to that aspect of being a rasaniya. Okay, rasaniya means in being the source of all rasas. I
That
hope
too,
you're.
Prabhu, it seems like their source of all rasas in two completely different contexts.
Yes, but in the context of being the generator of all rasas, in that aspect, the similarity of meaning has also been achieved. I hope you are able to understand, because sometimes a poet is able to use an adjective, the same adjective for two different entities, but that adjective has completely different meanings for those two different entities. I hope you are able, and there is no similarity in that, because it's not just a pun. It's not just a play of words. There is also some inherent deep meaning connection which is going on here. So that's the quality of a superior poet. It's not that this was not a mental exercise in just putting words together, word jugglery, so that somehow we can fit an adjective on two different entities. So this was not the aim. So this was like a complete. This was like there is similarity between two different images, and that similarity is amshena. It is not complete. If there is complete similarity, then both images will merge. But there is similarity between, there is partial similarity between both images. Sometimes what happens, a kavi, an expert poet, has two different images, completely different images, but he connects them using the same term. I hope you're able to understand. So the same term, but two different meanings. But here the term is same, and partially the meaning is also same. So I hope it makes it clear. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. It wasn't like he was just trying to write two sentences using the same words.
Right. Exactly.
But there's an inherent connection between the two.
Right. Right. So now Akhila Rasamrita Murti is done. You understood the term. What is the meaning of Akhila Rasamrita Murti? Right?
Yes, Prabhu.
That was the first adjective. What was the second adjective?
Prasrimara Ruchi
Ruddha.
Ruddhataraka Palihi.
Prasrimara Ruchi Ruddhataraka Palihi. So tato, tatha. Moreover, Prasrimaraabhi Ruchibhihi. Prasrimaraabhi means that which is spreading out. What is spreading out? Through its ruchi bihi. Ruchi bihi means, what is ruchi? Kanti bihi. Through by its spreading rays of effulgence. The moon spreads out its rays always. So moon's rays are prasrimara. Okay. The moon's rays are prasrimara. What are the moon's rays?
They're prasrimara. They're spreading out.
Spreading out. So prasrimara bhi, ruchi bhi, kanti bhi. What does he do? Ruddha. Ruddha means avrita. He covers. Okay. Previously, Ruddha means he controls. Okay. But here, Ruddha means he completely Avrita means he completely covers. Tarakanam palihi. So Taraka Pali means Tarakanam Pali. Taraka means stars. And Palihi, what does Palihi mean? Shreni. Shreni means all the series of stars, all the collection of stars. So all the Taraka Pali. What does Taraka mean?
Taraka means star,
And
and
Pali means
the constellation, the
the.
groups of stars.
So Taraka Pali means groups of stars. Those groups of stars are Ruddha. Ruddha means they are completely
Covered.
covered by his Ruchi. What does Ruchi mean?
His kanti, his effulgence.
And that effulgence is Prasrimara. Prasrimara means
It is spreading everywhere.
right. So by its spreading out effulgence, it completely dominates or completely covers all collections of constellations and stars. Therefore, he is Prasramara Ruchi Ruddha Taraka Palihi. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
In IT. Purvavat. So similarly, just as in the previous adjective, there is similarity of terms, exact similarity of terms. We didn't change the adjective even one bit. Not even half a syllable was changed. But Nija Kanti Vashíkrita Kanti Mati Gana Virajamanatvena Virajatmanatvamshena Pigyayam. But Nija Kanti, by his effulgence, Vashíkrita Kanti Mati Gana, and by his effulgence he brings into control other effulgent entities. And Virajamanatvan, and he reigns like this. In this particular part, there is similarity of meaning also, because what does Krishna do? Krishna also spreads out his effulgence and controls all the gopis like Taraka and Pali, who are also effulgent. But Krishna's effulgence dominates their effulgence, and Krishna reigns as the controller of all of them. So similarly, the moon also spreads out its effulgence and dominates other effulgent entities, because Tarakas are also effulgent entities. So the most effulgent entity brings other effulgent entities under its control and reigns as the ruler of all of them. And in this much amsha, in this much portion, there is also similarity of meaning. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so Gyayam, it should be understood like this. Now, what was the third adjective?
Kalita Shyama Lalita.
Kalita Shyama. Kalita, it's not Kalita. Kalita Shyama Lalita. So Kalita Shyama Lalito. So Tatha, moreover, Shyama tu Valgulau Aprasutanganayam cha tatha Soma Lataushadam. So here he is quoting some dictionary. So tatha Shyama tu, Shyama is used in Valgulau, in some herb. Okay. Aprasuta Anganayam cha, and in a lady, a Shama is also an Angana, a lady who is aprasuta, who has never given birth. So that is also the one of the meanings of Shama. Tatha Soma Lata, and the Soma creeper is also one meaning of Shama. Aushadhau, medicine, Aushadhi is also one meaning of Shama. Trivrita, Shariva, Gundra, these are all Ayurvedic herbs. Trivrita, Shariva, Gundra. Nisha, and night. Nisha means what?
Night.
Night. And Krishna Priyangushu, and these are also Ayurvedic herbs. But so one of the meanings of Shyama is What is one of the meanings?
Night.
Night.
Nisha.
Nisha. Iti Vishwa Prakashat. So this is given in which lexicon, which dictionary?
Vishwa Prakasha.
Okay. So Shyama means Nisha. What does Shyama mean?
Nisha, night.
Iti Vishwa Prakashat. This is taken from the Vishwa Prakash. So now coming to the meaning. Now we established that because this is a rare meaning of Shyama. Usually Shyama is not used in the context of night, but here it is being used. So we have to justify it using a lexicon where which dictionary says Shyama is night. So Vishwa Prakash says that Shyama is night, Ratri, Nisha. Because if you use a particular term in a particular meaning, then what is the first question that people will ask you?
They'll ask you, how do you know this term means this? Where did you come to this conclusion?
Yes. Then what do you have to point to?
The authority, the dictionary.
Right. So he points to Vishwa Prakash. So hence established. So let's make a mental note here that Shyama equal to Nisha. Right.
Prabhu, I have a question. I know that at times two different Puranas will disagree with one another, but there is a hierarchy amongst them to, like, when it comes to like a certain concept, we accept the understanding of one Purana over the other. But what happens if two dictionaries disagree with each other on or they have a different understanding of the meaning of a word? Is there
that's okay.
more
We take,
accepted?
if two dictionaries have two different understandings, we accept all understandings of all authorized dictionaries, and poets are free to use them in their works. That's okay, as long as they quote the authority. Okay, chalo, let's move ahead. So our term was Kalita Shyama Lalito. Okay, so what is that? Kalitam. Kalitam means Uri Kritam. Okay, Uri Kritam means accepted. Or accepted. What has he accepted? Shamayaha. He's accepted Ratris, the nights. Lalitam Vilasaha, the various enjoying pastimes of the night have been accepted by this particular entity. By which particular entity?
The moon.
The moon.
Moon.
So the moon has Uri Krita. Uri Krita means, what does Uri Krita means? Uri Krita means he has accepted, completely embraced. Angi Krita. Basically, Uri Krita means Angi Krita. Uri Krita means, Kalita means Uri Krita. He has completely accepted Shamas. Lalita. Lalita means Vilas, the enjoying pastimes of night. So all the enjoying pastimes of the night have been completely accepted as his own by the moon. In all romantic literature, the best time for any romantic pastime is the day or the night?
The night.
The night. All the vilas, the variegatedness of all the variegatedness of night is centered around which entity?
The moon.
Yes, it is the moon who has accepted all these variegated features of the night. The variety of night is accepted. Yena iti. So there is similarity as usual. There is similarity in the terms. But Ratri Vilasitven api gyayam. So, there is similarity also in meaning, because Ratri Vilasatvena, Krishna also delights himself at night, and the moon also delights himself at night. Although moon is sometimes seen even when the sun is there. In the day also, Sometimes you can see the moon, even sunlight is there. But does the moon present its effect in the
No.
daytime? No. Its vilas, its joyous effect is seen only in the night. So only when night is there, at that time the moon embraces the night, and at that time the moon, exhibits Lalita Vilas. Lalita Vilas means he exhibits all the variegated, joyous pastimes of the night. So that is, Kalita, Shyama, Lalita. So what is meaning of Kalita?
Kalita means that he has accepted the night.
Yes, he
He has accepted
accepted
the night.
the nights, the Shyamas Lalita. He has accepted the nights Lalita. What does Lalita mean?
The variegatedness.
The variegated pastimes that take place in the night. Vilas. Okay, he has accepted the vilas of the night. So that is vilas basically means lila. What does vilas mean? Lila.
Leela, yes.
So he accepted the various leelas of the night. Just as Krishna also accepts various leelas. But during which time?
The night time.
Night. So there is similarity in meaning also. Okay. Finally, which was the last adjective?
Radha Prayan.
Radha Prayan. Tatha. Radhayam. Within Radha. What is Radha here mean? Vishakha Namnyam Tarayam. Within the constellation named Vishakha. Within which constellation?
The constellation named Vishakha.
So traditionally, Radha is the name of the Vishakha constellation. He is Prayan. He exhibits a lot of Adhika Pritiman. He exhibits especially more Priti, more love upon Radha. Radha here means what?
The Vishakha constellation.
Right. Why? Because Rituraj Purnimayam Tad Anugamitvat. Because in Rituraj, in the king of all seasons, which is the king of all seasons?
The spring.
Spring. Purnima, on the full moon night of the spring season. Tad Anugamitvat, he is following behind the Vishakha constellation. Therefore, in the best of the seasons, in the best of the moods, in the best of the nights, he is exhibiting the greatest love over Radha or Vishakha constellation. Iti. Tad anugati matra sadhya swa vaibhava vigyatvam geyam. Tad anugati matra sadhya swa vaibhava vigyatva. So in following that Radha, sadhya swabhava vigyatva. So his essential nature is demonstrated in following Radha. This is it. This similarity. His vaibhav, his opulence, or let's say his distinctive feature of following in the footsteps of Radha is the common factor in meaning also between the moon and in Krishna, because Krishna also on the spring season nights, he used to follow in the footsteps of Radha, and the moon also in the spring season night, he follows in the footsteps of Radha, which is Vishakha constellation. So in this aspect, there is similarity of meaning too. So not only is there similarity of the qualified term viduhu, but there is also similarity of all the qualifiers. But the similarity of all the qualifiers is not only in the
Partial.
terms, but also partially in the meanings. So we see, because in the qualified vidhuhu, was there a similarity only in the term or also in the meaning somehow?
In the term, it was the same, but somehow partially in the meaning, it was also.
We didn't see anything.
No, we saw Prabhu.
What is the
Yes.
meaning? What is the there was only Amar Kosh.
Oh, only for. Sorry, Prabhu. Only Amar Kosh.
Yeah, we in Viduhu, Viduhu, we saw Viduhu means moon and Viduhu means Krishna, right? We got two meanings from the dictionary. Other than that, did we establish any similarity between both of them in the term Viduhu?
Through the adjectives, yes.
Yes. So similarity is always established on the basis of qualities. I hope you are able to understand. Similarity is always established on the basis of
qualities.
And qualities are expressed only through adjectives. Therefore, to establish similarity by establishing similarity in through the adjectives, the adjectivized terms are automatically rendered similar to each other. I hope you are able to understand. By establishing similarity through qualifiers, the qualified terms are automatically rendered similar to each other. All right?
Yes, Prabhu. Could we also say that the qualified terms, that there are two qualified terms being described, is also established by the similarity in the qualifiers?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, okay. I thought you were saying it the other way around.
Two qualified terms, two terms are similar. Let's say, people say that Shastras are Prabhu and Tejas Prabhu are similar. Now, the first question which will be asked is, what is the first question which people will ask?
In what way are they similar?
Similar in which way, right? So then you have to immediately put an adjective there. Similar in their desire to improve in spiritual life, let's say. So that is an adjective, a qualifier which qualifies both of you. All right. So now somebody may say, well, why did you compare Krishna to the moon? Right? There is a much brighter entity in the sky, which is the sun. Right? And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, many times Krishna has been compared to the sun. The Srimad Bhagavatam has been compared to the sun. Puranarko dhunoditah. Srimad Bhagavatam is like the brilliant sun, right? So why are you comparing Krishna to that feeble moon? You could have compared Krishna to the sun. So Jiva Goswami now justifies why it is most important to compare Krishna to the moon. Right? Many times people say that, why do you say Krishna Chandra? Why do you say Krishna Chandra? Why is Krishna compared to Chandra? Why don't you say Krishna Surya? Have you heard Krishna being glorified as Krishna Surya?
I've only seen similarities being like Krishna Surya Samavaya.
Right. But have you seen Krishna being glorified? Or what is the prominent glorification of Krishna?
It's always Krishna Chandra or Ramachandra.
Right.
Prabhu, is it because the sun cannot be described as Akhila Rasa Amritamurti?
Well, that is what Jiva Goswami is, going to specify here. So, upamanasya cha etani visheshanani. So, upamanasya. So, the object of comparison. So, the moon. Basically, see, there are Upaman and Upameya. Okay, in a comparison is known as Upama. What is a comparison known as?
Upama.
Okay, and there are three factors in a comparison. So Upama, Upaman, and Upameya. Okay, so what is Upama, Upaman, and Upameya? For example, if I say your face is like the moon, if I say like this, your face is like the
moon.
The moon. Have I done a comparison or not?
Yes.
Yes. So now let's take a sentence. Your face is like the moon. Okay. Now there are, first is Upama. Upama is comparison. The act of comparing is known as what?
Upama.
Upama. Because Upama, by specifying this term, which term?
Like.
Okay, you have indicated that this is an Upama. So there has to be an Upaman. Upaman, which means the object of comparison. The object of comparison here is the
moon.
Then there has to be Upameya. Upameya is the subject of comparison. What is that?
The face.
Face. Then sometimes there is also something known as Sadharana Dharma. Sadharan Dharma means what is the common thing between both of them, between the Upaman and Upameya, but that is not specified in the sentence. Huh? So your face is what like the moon? Spotted? No, your face is
effulgent or
beautiful. Okay, so what is the Sadharan Dharma? Common
characteristic,
commonality between the Upaman and Upameya. So that is beauty. I hope you are able to understand. So in any comparison, there are four factors. And there are three factors. Upama is the comparison, and then there are three factors: Upaman, Upameya, and Sadharan Dharma. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
So now, henceforth, you will remember this. So homework is to memorize Upama, Upaman, Upameya, and Sadharan Dharma. Sometimes the Sadharan Dharma is not specified. So you have to be a Sahriday, like-minded poet to understand what is the Sadharan Dharma. So that only a like-minded poet can understand. For example, Krishna's lower lip is compared to the Bimba fruit. So what does it mean? Does it mean that Krishna's lower lip tastes like the Bimba fruit? No. Then what does it mean?
It's reddish in color.
Yes. So the Sadharana Dharma is reddish color. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu. So if I was to say Krishna's lip is like the Bimba fruit, the Upaman, so like the comparison is the comparison between Krishna's lip and the Bimba fruit. That's the Upama.
So Krishna's lip is which is the subject? Who are you comparing?
Krishna's lip is the Upameya.
Upameya. And what is it being compared
Bimba
to?
Fruit, the Upaman is the Bimba fruit.
Right. So subject always remember, and object. Subject is what is being compared. Object is who is it being compared to. And there should be a Sadharan Dharma. Sadharan Dharma means there should be a common characteristic of comparison, which only a like-minded poet can understand. If there is a fool, he will say, "Acha, Krishna's lower lip is, it tastes like a Bimba fruit." Someone is saying, so not like that. So you need a Sahriday Kavi. You need a like-minded, like-hearted poet to understand what is the exact Upama, what is the exact comparison. Then there is also a factor called as The upama is denoted by a upama vachi shabda, a term which denotes the upama. Which is the term which denotes the upama here?
Like.
Like. Okay, like, similar, is comparable to. All these terms can denote upama. I hope you are able. There is not only one upama vachi shabda. There are many upama vachi shabdas. Like is comparable to. Looks just like, something like that. So these terms are upama vachi shabda. Okay, so like somebody may say, Prabhu, your heart is just like an ocean. So what does it mean?
The heart is vast like the ocean.
It's very deep.
Mm.
Right? Or does it mean that your heart is filled with cruel entities that eat each other up? No. So similarly, one has to be a sahriday in order to understand the comparison. Now here in our Vidhu and Vidhu there is a comparison going on. Comparison is going on between the Upaman. What is the Upaman? The moon. And Upameya is Vidhu. Who is Vidhu?
Whose Vidhu is the moon. Or sorry,
Yeah.
Prabhu. Vidhu is I mean, right now we're talking.
Krishna is being compared to.
Krishna is being compared to the moon. So
because there is similarity in adjectives. So is
yes.
there an indirect comparison or not? Although there is no upama vachi shabda, there is no, he's like, there is no term which says like, but there is an indirect comparison going on. Yes or no?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
There is an indirect comparison going on. Therefore, it is samasokti. The figure of speech, the literary ornament was samasokti. On the surface, it seems that Krishna's qualities are being glorified. Look deeper, you will see that the moon is also being glorified. So there is an indirect comparison going on here. Comparison between whom? Was the verse mainly referring to moon and Krishna was secondary? Or the verse was mainly referring to Krishna and the moon was secondary?
Krishna mainly. So the Upamaya would be Krishna. The Upaman would be the moon.
Moon. Now
Krishna is being compared
hence
to the moon.
Established that Upaman is the moon. Okay, in our case. I'll remove all this now. Upamanasya cha etani visheshanani. So all these visheshanas, these qualifiers, these adjectives of what?
Of all these qualifiers of Vidhu.
Of Upaman. Upamanasya cha etani visheshanani. All these visheshanas, all these adjectives
of the
moon. Utkarshavachakani. They denote its superiority. Okay, they denote its superiority over all other objects. Even sun cannot be, sun cannot be placed here. Why? Surya Ades, sun, etc. Tadrisha Murtitva Abhavat. Completely lack in having such a Murti. Does sun have such a Murti, which is Akhila Rasamrita Murti?
No.
Can the sun generate the 6 Bhojan Rasas?
No.
No. It is the moon who nourishes all vegetation at night. So, Suryades Tadrisha Murtitva Abhavat. See, the sun gives nourishment to the plant. We agree. We agree that sunlight is needed for nourishing the plant, for making the plant grow physically. We agree. What is needed?
The sun is needed.
But to bring taste in the plants, to induce rus in the plants, what is needed?
The moon.
The moon is needed for bringing taste or rasa in the plants. So, upamanasya cha etani visheshanani, all these adjectives of the moon, utkarshavachakani, they are all denoting the superiority of the moon. Why? Even the sun and other planets can't come close. Forget about other planets, even the sun cannot come close. Why? Surya Des, when it comes to Surya, etc., Tadrisha Murtitva Abhavat, because there is abhav, there is lack of Tadrisha Murti, similar, form which generates so much rasa. Okay. And another reason, see here, Tat Sahitya Shobhitva Abhavat. Tat Sahitya, I'm sorry, Tara Nashana Kriyatvena, Tat Sahitya Shobhitva Abhavat. And when moon arises between the stars, what does the moon do? The moon captures all the stars, and the existence of the stars is still retained. Can you still see the stars in night?
Yes.
Yes. But when the sun rises, Tara Nashana Kriyat. What does it do? Nashana. It completely takes over and destroys the very sight of all the stars. Tat Sahitya Shobhitva Bhavat. Then can we say that the sun is looking very beautiful with all the stars? Can we say like this?
No.
Why?
Because it's completely destroyed the sight of all the stars.
Yes. The very presence, the very appearance of all the stars is completely taken over by the sun. So we can't say that the sun looks beautiful with all the stars. Where are all the stars? There are no stars. So tat sahitya, along with the stars, shobhitva abhavat, the sun doesn't look beautiful along with the stars because tara nashana kriyatvena. It completely, obliterates the very presence of the stars. And sukha visheshakara ratri vilas abhavat. And because ratri vilas, the joyous pastimes of the night, which are sukha visheshakara, which gives special delight to the heart, abhavat. No such pastimes are seen during the day. Pastimes of vilas, joyous pastimes, which gives sukha vishesha, which gives special joy, they are seen only during one time. Which time?
They're only seen during the night.
And if the sun rises during the night?
No, it won't be night.
So, Tadrisha Vigyatva Anabhivyaktes. And does the sun exhibit any special love towards any constellation? No.
It is.
So there is no similarity. If you take the sun as the Upaman with Krishna, then there will be no adjectives left to compare both of them. Of course, there are similarities between Krishna and the sun. We don't doubt that. But in this specific context, if you would have placed sun, then all the adjectives start falling down one by one. Therefore, anabhivyaktescha. Therefore, the similarity is not established at all. I hope you are able to understand. That is why we selected what as the Upaman?
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yeah. So
the moon. The moon is the Upaman.
The Upamoon as the Upaman. So this is where Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary on the first verse is about to end. Now he's making a few declarations before he starts.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this destructive nature of the sun. Not actually destructive, but this potency of like dispelling everything.
Right.
And I was thinking that I think the verse that came to mind was the Nihara Miva Bhaskara, of how the
right.
I think that when it comes to the right context of dispelling everything, the
right.
sun is amply used.
Right. So when it comes to obliterating ignorance, obliterating darkness, destroying something, uh, heating up and burning away all the sins, then Krishna can be compared to the
The
sun.
sun.
But when it comes to rasa, Krishna can only be compared to the moon. So that is the reason why this is the most effective upaman. The moon is the most effective upaman for the upameya Shri Krishna, because there is not only one sadharan dharma between moon and Krishna. There are so many sadharan dharmas between moon and Krishna that both are partially Akhila Rasamritam. In some aspect, both are Akhila Rasamrita Murtihi. In some aspect, both are Prasamara Ruchi Ruddha Taraka Palihi. In some aspects, both are Kalita Radha, Kalita Shyama Lalita. In some aspect, both are Radha Prayan. I hope you are able to understand. In this way, both meanings of Vidhu share similarity.
I think, Prabhu, the Krishna being the Upameya clarified a big doubt for me, because I was thinking the whole time about, I mean, clearly there is a Chandra Paksha, but what was Rupa Goswami's purpose of even placing of even having a Chandra Paksha in the first place?
Right.
But looking back at it, it makes the Upameya that much more attractive.
Right. Well, the moon, the book is about Krishna, no? Not about the moon. It's not a Jyotish book. if it was a book on Jyotish and moon was the main entity, then we could have said that moon is the Upameya and Krishna is the Upaman. But that doesn't seem justified. It's always Krishna is the Upameya and moon is the Upaman. All right.
Okay,
Let's
Prabhu.
move ahead. So now Srila Jiva Goswami wants to make certain declarations
Sorry,
at the
Prabhu, I have
beginning.
one question.
Yeah, can we just?
Upameya?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, it was just, so Upameya does not necessarily have to be the predominant um, individual. Like you're giving the example of a Jyotish book. So in that case, because I was thinking that Krishna being the Upameya is also justified by Krishna inherently being more important.
Yeah, the thing is, the subject of comparison is always most important.
Huh.
Okay, subject of comparison is always most important. And the object of comparison is secondary compared to the subject. Okay, but still, see, because when you say it is beautiful, the Krishna is as beautiful as the moon. So who is being glorified? Ultimately, who is being glorified?
Krishna is being glorified.
So ultimately, the subject is glorified, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So ultimately, between the subject and object, the aim is to glorify what? The subject or the object?
The subject.
The subject.
Could one, however, say that the moon even being put in a comparison position to Krishna is a way of glorifying the moon as well? In a very weirdly twisted way. Like, it's a way of Am I making sense, Prabhu? Like, the moon being placed in a position to be compared to Krishna is a way of glorifying the moon too.
Yeah. See, sometimes you reverse the Upaman and Upameya for some specific purposes. Okay. For example, let me give you an example. There is a figure of speech, there is a literary ornament called as Prateep. Have you heard Prateep?
No.
Okay, so there is a figure of speech called as Prateep. Okay, so Upama is also a figure of speech, literary ornament. Prateep is also a literary ornament. What is done in Prateep is reversal of Upama. Okay, so what do? You switch the Upama and Upameya. Okay, and let's say instead of saying Krishna is as beautiful as the moon, you instead end up saying the moon can never be as beautiful as Krishna.
So,
I hope you are able to understand.
uh,
What have you done? You have reversed the subject and object, but the end result achieved is the same. In the end, who is glorified?
Krishna is still glorified.
That is Pradeep. Okay, so that's a very different field altogether. We'll not go into this today.
Okay, Prabhu.
So सिद्धांत रस भावानां ध्वन्यलंकारयोरपि अनंतत्वात् स्फुटत्वाच्च व्यज्यते दुर्गमं त्विह. Now Srila Jiva Goswami is making some things clear. The first thing is your commentary is named Durgama Sangamani. Durgama means the difficult places. Sangamani means she will walk with you. So the commentary will walk with you only in which places?
The
Only
difficult places.
difficult places. Why not all the places? Why not Pratipada Sangamani? She will walk for each and every term. Why not an explanation of each and every term? So, so Jiva Goswami makes a declaration. Why is the commentary not on each and every term? Why is it only on the difficult sections? So Jiva Goswami answers that by saying, Siddhanta. There are a few things in this word, in this book, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Few things are there. What is the first thing? Siddhantas are mentioned. What are mentioned?
Siddhanta.
Philosophical conclusions of Bhakti. What are the second things which is mentioned in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu?
Rasa.
Bhava, Bhavanam. Okay. And fourth is Dhvani. There are some indirect indications in poetry known as Dhvani. Okay. Dhvani is suggested meanings. For example, if I say the school bell rang, so what is the direct meaning of school bell rang?
The direct meaning of
is school bell rang. That's it.
That's the direct.
But what is the indicated meaning? What is the dhvani? What is the suggested meaning?
That
it's time to go home. Yeah, it's time to go home. I hope you're able to understand. So there is something called as suggested. So in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, there are a lot of suggested meanings also. And there are many alankars. Alankars means there are many literary ornaments. Api. So of all there are many things in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. There is Siddhanta, there is Ras, there is Bhava, there is Dhvani, suggested meanings, there are Alankars. For all these things, Anantatvat, they are, because they are unlimited. They are unlimited Siddhantas of Bhakti. There are unlimited Rasas, variations of Rasa, unlimited variations of Bhava, and there are unlimited hidden meanings that can be found out, unlimited ornaments that can be found out in the poetry, and Sphutatvacha. And most of those meanings, Siddhantas, Rasas, Bhavas are clear already. Then not much explanation is needed. So because they are so vast, and because most of them are already clear by a cursory reading, therefore Vyajyate Durgamam Tuiha. Therefore only the difficult sections are being explained here. I hope you are able to understand. So because the Siddhantas, the Rasas, the Bhavas, the literary ornaments are so vast, and most of them are already, people have some idea about them, where people will get an idea about them when they read the direct text. So an explanation will not really be needed, but an explanation will be needed in the difficult sections. So Vyajyate Durgamam Tviha. So the difficult sections are being explained here. I hope this is clear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
So difficult sections are those that don't need to already be explained, or
those which are not
have to be elaborated upon pretty much.
Those which need some elaboration. Okay, so Likhanam sarvam eva asmin ashanka nasha garbhitam. So Likhanam sarvam, whatever is written here in the commentary, especially in the commentary, asmin ashanka nasha garbhitam. The garbha, the cause of writing all this is ashanka nash, to remove the doubts of everyone. Okay, whatever is being written here is being written with an intention of destroying all doubts. Ashanka nasha garbhitam. वृथैव शंकयात् पत्र न navadhyayam abuddhivi. So foolish people should not have any other doubts about this particular commentary. Abuddhivi, foolish people should not keep any doubts about this commentary, that it has some other purpose. My sole purpose is to destroy any doubts which arise, that may not be resolved by reading the text. See, sometimes a doubt arises while reading the text. Let's say a doubt arises on verse number 100. On verse number 100. And you will see, oh, Jiva Goswami has not solved my doubt in the commentary. But if he has not solved the doubt, it means that in some future verse, Rup Goswami himself will solve the doubt. Therefore, he has not solved the doubt there. So, whatever is being written, the sole purpose is to destroy doubts, not to, uselessly repeat concepts which will be explained by the author himself. So, therefore, Vrithaiva Shankayat Patra Navadhyayam. So, foolish people should not keep any doubts about the commentary. Another meaning here is that false doubts have not been raised. It's not that I have raised some false doubts and I have only solved my false doubts. Not that. So whatever is ashanka nash, genuine doubts, they have been resolved here. Now he says, Grantha kritam swarasyat katachit pathastu ye maya tyakta natra nishtam chintyam tesham abhishtam hi Chintyam tesham abhishtam hi. So he composes a verse in the meter Arya, and he says, Granthakritam swarasyat katichit pathastu ye maya tyakta. There are some readings which I have, some readings of the text. See, there are multiple readings of a verse sometimes. Some term is different. So, katichit pathastu ye maya tyakta. I have not taken certain alternate readings of certain verses. Why? Because grantha kritam swarasyat. Because that is what is the intention. That is what is the favorable to the composer of the literature, Rupa Goswami. So Rupa Goswami wrote Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Over a period of time, certain alternate readings also started showing up. So people started coming to Jiva Goswami and saying, see, this alternate reading is also there. This alternate reading is also there. Jiva, it's my uncle who has written the book. Huh? Who has written the book? It's my uncle who has written. I was present when he was writing the book. So he has purposely not taken some alternate readings because he knows which reading is favorable to the author of the book. So Grantha Kritam Swarasyat. So Swarasya, what is favorable to the Grantha Krit, the author of the literature. Because whatever is favorable, that I have taken, but Katichit Pathas, some alternate readings, te maya tyaktaha, I have not taken. Na atra anishtam chintyam. Don't think that I have given up the alternate readings in order to harm the book of the author, in order to reduce somehow the book of the author. No. But chintyam tesham abhishtam hi. I have done so only in order to benefit the author of the book, in order to bring out what the author of the book clearly intended. So after the author has left this world, some alternate readings have popped up. But I know which readings are intended by the author and which readings are not intended. So don't keep a doubt in your mind that he skipped this alternate meaning because he could not justify it. Don't think like this. I skipped the alternate meaning because it was not intended by the original author. To benefit the intention of the original author, I have skipped some alternate readings of the text. So that is what is being indicated here. All right.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhu, regarding alternate readings, I found that oftentimes, like, there's the verse sthana bhilashi tapasi stitoham. There's the that also has an alternate reading for that one, but I found that the meaning itself of the verse doesn't change. But
yeah, sometimes in an alternate reading, the meaning doesn't change. But those are very minor differences of reading. But in some alternate readings, the meaning completely changes. For example, sometimes a small term na gets added. Okay, and when na gets so the positive becomes negative. So so let me give an example of this. For example, let's say tan akarot. So tan akarot means he did that. He did those things. Tan akarot. And somebody may have an alternate reading. Tan na karot. It's a very minor. So one is tan na karot, and one may be tan na karot. So it's a minor difference of reading, but the meaning completely changes.
Yes, Prabhu. How do these alternate readings come up then? Is it because of the scribe, or
sometimes due to copying, because the manuscripts were copied in from hand to hand, so hand based, not printed. Sometimes the scribe ends up making a mistake, something like that. Okay. So here we have completed our first verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So I think we should pause here at this point of time. I think we've already gone 1 hour and how much? 15 or 20 minutes? Yes?
Not sure.
Okay, more than an hour. But or let's do one thing. Let's do an anvay of the second verse. Yes, and then we can pause there. Okay. So the second verse is also a Mangalacharan verse. Which verse is this?
A Mangalacharan.
Mangalacharan verse. So first verse was also Mangalacharan verse. And I told you Mangalacharan is of 3 types. Do you remember the 3 types of Mangalacharan?
No, Prabhu.
Is that actually I have taught Ashirvadatmaka, Namaskriyaatmaka, Vastu Nirdeshatmaka. So Mangalacharan.
So there's the get the blessings, then there's to the obeisances, and then
so there is in let's say it is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita only. Ashir Namaskriyaatmaka. Is it Chaitanya Charitamrita or yeah? Yeah, in the commentary to Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya is quoting Natak Chandrika and Sahitya Darpan. Can you see? Ashir Vachana Samyukta Stutir Yasmat Prayujite Deva Dvijandra Padinam Tasman Nanditi Samgita. There is yes. Ashir Namaskriya Vastu Nirdeshanyat Nirdeshanyatamanvita. So basically, there are 3 types of Mangalacharan. There are 3 types of auspicious verses. One is Ashirvadatmaka, bestowing benediction. May he bless you all. May he protect you. May this protect you. May that benefit you. That is which type of Mangalacharan?
Ashirvad.
Ashirvad. Then second is Namaskriya. My obeisances to that. My obeisances to him. My obeisances to such and such entity. So that is which type of Mangalacharan? Namaskriya.
Namaskriya.
Third is Vastu Nirdesh, wherein neither Ashirvad nor Namaskriya, but an entity is glorified. Jai, all glories to this person, all glories to that person, or may this person is the one, or that person is a special one. So just
Yes, Prabhu.
indicating the Vastu.
So the first verse was Vastu Nirdesha.
Vastu, not Vastu, Vastu
Sorry,
Nirdesh.
Vastu.
Now here, Vande, can you see Vande? So, Namaskriyatamaka. I offer my glorifications, my obeisances to Chaitanya Devasya. So, Pada Kamalam, to the lotus feet of whom? Chaitanya Devasya. You see in the commentary also, Jiva Goswami will say what? Can you see here?
Namaskaroti.
Namaskaroti, clearly indicating that this is which type of Mangalacharan? Namaskriyaatmak Mangalacharan. The first one was Vastu Nirdeshatmak Mangalacharan. The second verse is Namaskriyaatmak Mangalacharan. So I hope this is clear. Now, let's do the Anvay. But first, we should recite the verse. Again, Arya. So please repeat after me. Hridiyasya Preranaya.
Hridiyasya Preranaya.
Hridiyasya Preranaya.
Hridiyasya Preranaya.
Pravartitoham Varakarupopi.
Pravartitoham Varakarupopi.
Pravartitoham Varakarupopi.
Pravartitoham Varakarupopi.
Tasya Harihi Padakamalam.
Tasya Harihi Padakamalam.
Tasya Harihi Padakamalam.
Tasya Harihi Padakamalam.
Vande Chaitanya Devasya.
Vande Chaitanya Devasya.
Vande Chaitanya Devasya.
Vande Chaitanya Devasya.
Now you just hear. Hridiyasya Preranaya. Pravartitoham Varakarupopi. Pravartitoham Varakarupopi. Tasya Harihi Padakamalam. Vande Chaitanya Devasya. Vande Chaitanya Devasya. This is the second verse. Okay, now Vande. Okay, Vande means I
Glorify.
or I offer obeisances, or big. Vande means to glorify. Okay, Vande, I glorify. Pada Kamalam. Pada Kamalam,
Lotus feet.
the lotus feet. Tasya. No. Pada Kamalam is lotus feet.
Oh,
of
sorry. Of that.
Harehe. Hari.
Lord Chaitanya. Known as Chaitanya Dev.
Yasya. By whose Preranaya. By whose
Inspiration.
inspiration? Hridhi
in the heart.
Aham.
I.
I am
Engaged.
api
Although. Most degraded.
Okay. So, did we cover all the terms? Did we cover Hridi? Yes. Yes, yeah. Yes. Prerna, yes. Pravartitah, yes. Aham, yes. Varakarupah, yes. Api, yes. Tasya, yes. Harehe, yes. Padakamalam, yes. Vande, yes. Chaitanya, yes. All the terms are covered. Okay.
Yes.
Now, can you read word by word? Can you read the translation? Huh?
I glorify the lotus feet of that Hari who is known as Chaitanya Dev, by whose inspiration by whose inspiration in the heart I am engaged.
In my heart.
My heart, in my heart. By
Hmm.
whose inspiration in my heart I am engaged, although I am Varakaru.
I am a most degraded Rupa. Okay. So we have done the Anvay of the verse. Okay. Once more, can you read the translation and see if it makes a good enough sentence?
I glorify the lotus feet of that Hari who is known as Chaitanya Dev, by whose inspiration in my heart I am engaged, although I am a most degraded Rupa.
Something needs to be specified. I am engaged in composing this work. Okay, this is not there in the original Sanskrit. Okay, so now the complete sentence will be, I glorify the lotus feet of that Hari known as Chaitanya Deva, by whose inspiration in my heart I am engaged in composing this work. Although I am a most degraded Rupa. Okay. Chief Goswami will also say Pravartitah, I am engaged, and then he will add Shesha, something has to be added after that. What has to be added? Chief Goswami says Asmin Sandarbhe, in this regard, in the regard of writing this book, I am engaged. Iti Shesha, this has to be added. When they say Iti Shesha, means some term has to be supplied, some phrase has to be supplied in order to complete the sentence. So, we will. So in this regard, I am engaged in that. Here it should be actually in this regard, but in order to make it more clear, I have just written it in composing this work. Okay.
Yes.
So now we have translated the second verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now from in the next session, we will see what is the commentary by Srila Jiva Goswami, and then from there onwards we'll try to go to the third verse, Vishrama Mandira Tayatasya Sanatana Tanur Madishasya. We'll see if we have time for verse 4. Okay, so we'll try to do this next time. But
Yes,
is there anything in this second verse that you wish to ask?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. So you can go, you can revise this second verse. You can try to do the breakdown on your own. It's very important to do the breakdown, do the anvay on your own. Only then will you understand the verse. Okay, let's try to, let's have a quick test. What does Hridi mean?
In my heart.
Yes, sir.
In my heart, in which I am it's
Therefore, it's very important to know grammar. Very important, because when we can't understand, yes, by whose? In Hindi we say jiski. By whose? Preranaya.
Inspiration.
Inspiration. By whose inspiration? Pravartitah.
They have bestowed, given it to me.
No.
No.
Aham pravartitah. Pravartitoham. I am pravartitah.
I'm engaged. I'm engaged.
I'm
Sorry.
engaged.
That was the shlesh, the thing that had to be added.
Varaka rupah.
Most degraded rupa.
Api. Varaka rupopi. Varaka rupah api.
However.
Although. Tasya.
Unto that individual.
His. Whose Harehe?
Harehe is Hari.
Hari's. Padakamalam.
Lotus feet.
Vande.
I glorify.
And that Hari is that Hari indicates Chaitanya Devasya. That Hari is none other than
Lord Sri Chaitanya.
Chaitanya Deva. So you are paying obeisances to Hari's lotus feet or Chaitanya Devasya lotus feet?
The lotus feet of Chaitanya Deva. Who is Hari?
So which is the bigger compartment? Hari is the bigger compartment or Chaitanya Dev is the bigger compartment? Which fits into what?
Chaitanya Dev is the bigger compartment in. Sorry. Krishna is the bigger compartment into which.
No. The term is Hari.
It's Hari.
Hari can be, the term Hari is used to denote how many forms of Bhagavan?
Far more forms than. Chaitanya Dev is a very specific form.
Yeah, but Chaitanya Dev is a very specific form. So the general term in the compartment of the specific term in the compartment of the general term. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, sorry, that was a lapse in thinking.
So Chaitanya Dev is an adjective of which term?
Hari.
So I hope you are able to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
All right. So next time you should have all these meanings clear with you in your mind. Next time we'll see where Srila Jiva Goswami takes us from here. Right? Yes, okay, so we'll end with Mangalacharan. Please repeat after me. Om Ajnanatimir-andhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.